Hi, my name is Jamie Statz-Paynter and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this fun fold card using the Friendly Hello stamp set that you can get free when you place $100 orders with me. You get not only this Friendly Hello stamp set as well as the 12 by 12 coordinating paper that we're going to be using here. So on this card, it's a fun fold, so you can see I've got the first card opening. Happy birthday. Hope you have the best birthday. Hello, friend. And then you open it up, and I've got a place where you can write your sentiment there. Okay, so that is going to be, and I think we're going to put it on this side. And we're going to go like that for right now, just to hold it so you can see what I'm doing. So what I have is I've got first my cardstock here, which is you can see here, 10 inches by 5 1/2, and you can see I scored it at the 4 1/8 and 8 3/8 inch, and that's so that it folds. This folds and is just about to the lip, not all the way there, and then this one folds over the top. I've also then got my little card here, which when I cut this paper out, there was another sheet like this on top, and so I made it just a little bit smaller than the original directions. I saw somebody else try to make this card. I made this card, as you can see here, 3 by 3, and that way you want it to look square, and I thought the size worked well, and then I didn't have to use a whole nother sheet of paper. So I'm always about how do you make things a little bit less expensive and get more out of your cardstock. I have 2 sheets of paper. One will go on the outside here, and then one on the inside, and this is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 inch. Then I've got this little piece here, which you can see is 1 1/2 by, I believe, 5 1/8. You've got this one that's 5 1/8 by 3 3/4. And then my inside piece uses this layering dimension. So since this original card, or the back of the card, you can see here is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I made this piece a little bit different from here, but what you do is you make it 1/4 inch less. So my white piece is 4 inches even, and then it should be 9 1/8 inch, or 5 1/8 inch there. And the front piece, you have 3 3/4 by 9 1/4. So those are the dimensions that we have for each one of these cardstocks pieces that you're going to be using. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take the inside of this card, or the outside of this card, and now that you know what pieces you have, I'm going to take the glue. I always like my Tombow mono glue. I make it about 1/4 inch from the outside, just a very thin line. I found that when I used to mail cards overseas, that no matter whether the temperature was cold or whether the temperature was warm, the glue never unstuck. However, when I tend to use, and I've tried a variety of them, the glue runners, I had problems because the glue would get unsticky, and I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. So this is the front piece. The piece here is the thin blue piece, which is going to be here. So I'm going to glue that one. And I don't need to put glue in the middle because it's just not necessary. And you see I'm trying to line it up so that it's all even around all the different sides. And hopefully your sides match up this way if you cut it correctly. Then for this side, we're going to glue this piece of paper here. And you remember on last week when I ended up having a very monochromatic color that was all petal peach kind of color, that what I ended up doing was I stamped all around here. Now technically you do have this tiny little flower that if you wanted to do the same thing like this in black, you could technically do that just to give it that same kind of image that we did last week. Or you could do it well, this one is the bigger flowers. This is the coordinating paper that's got really tiny versions of that. So you can see that this tiny version matches a little bit more of the single small one. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little card here and stamp those two images. And I'm going to grab that out of my packet here and put it on. I like my Memento Tuxedo Black because I think it's quick drying, and you can stamp this wherever you actually want, but it's quick drying, so you can keep working on your paper. At the same time, the stamps clean up very well. Now, if I made a mistake here, I could always flip it over. So that's the nice part before you glue, is doing that. But since I know I'm going to glue this right away down, since my paper looks okay, and I got a little too close there. But the reason why I'm doing that now is because, once you start coloring, the dark image will actually flow through when you use the Stampin' Blends. So there isn't, little piece. So you can't flip it over if you made a mistake. And hopefully we won't be making a mistake. Okay, so now on this, I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz, and I'm going to take my thin end, and I'm just going to do like this to make little green. Now, if you wanted to just leave them blank, you could do that, because then it would match that other than the outline. You could also do that same thing for the flower if you desired. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to make the flower match the background paper. That's the one nice thing about Stampin' Up, is that everything coordinates. So this is paper as the background is Coastal Cabana, and I've got my Coastal Cabana dark and light colors. So what I'm going to do is just put a few things here just to get it going. And then I'm going to take my light color, and I'm going to take the smaller end, since this is actually a small piece here. I start in the middle, work my way out. Now this is something my sister would like doing. I'm not a colorer. I am not good. You can see from last time when I did it, I didn't stay in the line all the time. So that's why I have my color lifter here. So if I need to remove any color, that I can do that. But again, taking from the inside dark and moving it to the outside one here. So you will see when I get done with this, that it's going to look a little bit different. Again, because it's lifting the color. Oops. There we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I've got this part all done. So I'm going to set that aside. And now I'm going to work on this piece. And I'm just flipping this over so it's easier to see. So the first one, and I'm going to do this with my glue. You can see I always keep my glue in something. I got this at Amazon, but I also have used prescription bottles to keep it down, because that way the glue is ready when I am, and I don't have to worry about the glue accidentally not being ready, or when I go to stamp it out, because I'm trying to get it out kind of like the ketchup, all of a sudden it comes in a big blob. So the first one, I'm going to separate these. I'm going to just stamp on this, the Coastal Cabana. You can see it's very light paper. And then I'm going to do the same for up here. And I'm actually going to take, where did I put it? My little silicone mat, because then if I get any excess, it doesn't get on that paper. It gets on this, so that I always have a clean, oops, I forgot to clean that off. Well, we're going to use it again. And actually I'm going to flip it over because I don't like the way that looks. So now I'm going to, I forgot to clean this one very good. I'm going to use my, my cleaner here, which you can see it's my simple chamois. And that way it will, let's see if it's going to muck it, because I did that. Yep, so I'm actually going to use a different one. Okay. Then my leaf. There we go, I like that better. And my leaf. And now I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to take my Memento Black ink, and I'm going to stamp my Hello Friend. Now the one thing on this one is it's got a little variation here, so when you're doing it, one, I'm trying to get it even, but at the same time I want to press down 1, 2, 3 and then hold down to lift up so that it comes off clear there. And now I'm going to let this sit aside just a bit so that I don't have to worry about it accidentally something happening to it. Okay, so now the next side, that's the inside. The next side, which, hold on, I'm going to grab a sheet of another sheet here. Okay, and I am going to stamp the best birthday one on here and the bird. When you are doing these kind of stamps, any kind of stamps basically, but the clear, the see-through, it's always important, or the clay, to make sure you are picking a block size that is as close to the size of the product as you want, or that it is, so that it doesn't cause you to rock. Because if you rock the paper, you're going to end up having problems with your card because it's going to get all smeary and icky. There you go. And now my birthday sentiment, and always double checking which side you are putting it on. And I don't like that because it's not even, so I'm going to try it again. My bird. And you can see you can't see through this paper. So when I'm teaching class, what I usually tell people to do is practice once on the background paper that I give you, and then the second time on one side and the third time on another side. That way when you are doing it, it's like 3 strikes you're out. A little bit better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take my smoky slate here, and I'm going to take the dark end, and I'm going to color this because I like the darker, and then I like the little, oops, and I'm going to use the thinner one here, no, the thicker one here. Let's see here. And what the Stampin' Blend does, and I'm just going around the edges so that I try not to go out, because that's when I usually have problems, is I'm taking color when I'm moving this from the dark end to the light end, so that it, and I'm going to try and get up here a little bit. There you go. With the pointed end, I can do that a little easier. There we go. And you'll see that the colors change a bit. And what I'm going to do is just put 2 dark lines down there. Usually I just go where the lines are, but since I want this to have a little two-tone effect, you'll see when it dries. This is my Daffodil Delight. And then I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz, oops, marker, and I'm just going to color in this a little bit so it gives it a little bit different look and not just the solid black and white, since I'm coloring everything else. Again, my dark color here. And nope, I'm going to use the wide angle here. You can see how this is bending as I'm coloring. That's why it's kind of hard to get around the corners because of that. And I tend to try and get around the corners first, and then I go up and down or round and round to bring that other color in. But I try and not do it oops, too close to the edge, because otherwise you're going to get it the color where you don't want it. But if you do that, we have a tool that's called a color lifter. And what you do is it's just like a normal Stampin' Blend marker, but you go over it a few times, and what you will find is that the color comes out. It just takes a little bit or a few times depending on how dark your color is. The only one I've tended to have problems with is my real red, because bright red is not an easy color to get off. And I'm going to use my crumb cake here. It's a little bit lighter brown marker. And you'll see that I take extra cases like this so that I've got my markers stored in these cases, as well as the big ones. I have my Stampin' Blend, so I've got blues in one, greens in another, so that it's easier to access. The other thing that I have, let's see where I put it. Oh, I'm not going to find it. Is I've got a little, like a little piece of, I don't want to say sandpaper, but that's kind of what it is, to be able to get off if I have little specks like this, that I'll be able to get that off later. Okay, so now you see the card is opening this way. So I'm going to, again, and you see how the yellow came through, so you can stamp once because you don't see the stamp on the other side, the black ink. But once you start pressing the color in and moving it around, that will go through this paper. Even though this is really great paper and very thick, it still will go through. So that is why I always color and stamp before I glue. Kind of like the person that, where did I put my other piece? The person who measure once, cut twice, the carpenter. And because I do some sewing, that also helps, because you never want to cut something till you know it's exactly how you want, because once it's cut, it's cut. And when you're doing it with paper, you can't make that up. Okay, so you've got the card looking like this. Again, I'm going to put that right up there. So you see I'm going to close it like that, but since I know where I want it, I'm going to fold this over, and I'm going to want to color about half of it on this side. You don't want to get too much on it on the other side. I'll make sure I'm doing this right. Yep, half of it this way. But since I want to, actually I'm going to close it, because that way when I'm doing it, I can center it on the page, on the top, bottom, and then go like this, and then hopefully, oh, I did a little too much glue. So what I'm going to do is do like this to get it a little dry. And then what happens is, once it's totally dry, I've got this at Amazon. It's called an glue eraser. And basically it just peels all the glue off, so you won't get a sticky card. Now, if you happen to use, oops, and I got a little here too, I can feel it. And if you happen to use the tape runner, what you'll have to do is you have to go like this with your finger to take it off. But this is what our card looks like. And you can see how, depending on what you're doing, I tried a little yellow in there, but I really didn't like that this time. And depending on how dark you do it, you can make it very dark or very light for your happy birthday friend. So my fun fold using the Sale-a-Bration Hello Friend. This is the copy of the card we just made. So you can write in here. Just a little something different that I was trying. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about this, making this card, please feel free to give me a jingle, or you can connect up with me at my Gmail address, badgermomstamps@gmail.com. And have a wonderful day. And I will have this posted on my website. If you are interested in becoming part of my newsletter, to follow me and see what cards I make each week, you can again send me an email to my badgermomstamps@gmail.com, or you can go on my website, which right now I think is under construction, and sign up there to go on my newsletter. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.